Right. Hello again. We've got the new comms, new mic. And again, I've got no list of things. It's purely off the top of my head. All I've got is I should talk about my time in China. And I was in China for 10 years. I moved there in 2013. It was I think it was February, sometime in February 2013. I just had enough of the UK at that point. My other video talks about my background. I think that might have been set to. I think I put it to be scheduled to be released. In fact, I might do it. I might have to do it again because we've got this microphone now. Well, this microphone has just like the computer says, "Oh, don't recognise the USB device." It's just done it twice. I think this is why this this could be a problem. Maybe that's why this microphone was so cheap. Nothing wrong with the microphone, but definitely something wrong with the USB aspect of it, the way it connects to the computer. So yeah, China. I moved there, and I'm originally born in the northeast of England. You wouldn't think it, would you? But put me around some people from the northeast, and I'll soon start dropping and changing my vowel sounds because I've grown up hearing it my entire life. Some of my siblings started to develop a sort of southern accent, and they only sound like a southerner now. And I seem to have, in recent times, like, if I'm talking to myself or I'm gaming or something, and I'm talking out loud, shouting like, "Ah, fucking," it's all in northeast accent. It's kind of odd. And yeah, I don't know for the UK. I've been there for 40 years, and I'd worked for some government departments on and off, administration, and it was mostly full of dullards. I don't know if that's a word, slang that's used all over the country, or whether it's just a sort of northeastern word, dullard. But they were there because they maybe hadn't or wouldn't survive in the private sector. And that's how I felt a lot of them, to me, seemed like that. And there was one memorable moment. The lady said, "You're not," she said, "There's more to you than the eyes can see," or something. Weird thing to say. But yeah, sure. She didn't know about my background in music. God, I would have been about 30, early 30s by then. So there was a complete other life throughout the 90s. And yeah, it was all about music. It was all about indie music, basically. So yeah, I don't want to. There's no point trying to go through all of it, but let's just talk about China. So there's a picture here of typical sort of foreign teachers, local Chinese people that either befriend them for various reasons. When you go to China, you'll be befriended by the Chinese for various reasons. Usually, it's an ulterior motive, but pretty much all of the Chinese people you see on this video, this photo, I don't recall any occasion where they tried to use that foreigner to start some business or, something that would benefit themselves. I mean, I honestly don't recall that. And some of them, there's one person that I'm still in touch with even now, but not often, but often enough. And the other two at the back of the room, I didn't really get to know them so well. I know him so well, wasn't it time? What's that song? A woman sang it. Two ladies. I know him so well. Elaine, something or other. Anyway, stop digressing. You bastard, yeah? Middle name is digressing. So I'd say so I was there for 10 years, around about 10 years. And once you get your go-to dishes, like just something like stupid, like scrambled eggs and tomato, then you might find the Uyghur restaurants, if that's the way to call it. It's basically Muslim restaurants there, but they're all Asian people. They're not Arabs. And they have real beef. And real beef is something you want in China. And they have like the most amazing value for money, quite astonishing. A full plate of food for 15 yuan. Yuan is RMB, which is kwai. There's 3 different terms for the currency of China. But 15 RMB, I mean, what can I say? You could probably earn 15 RMB. If you're working in China, you can earn 15 RMB in somewhere between 5 minutes and 10 minutes, depending on what your job and salary are. And that's a whole meal. And it might be with potatoes, and it might be with beef or with pork or no meat. So it's a full pulled pork noodles. Yeah, that was the thing. Noodles in China are proper noodles. Don't go to Thailand for noodles, wherever you fucking do. The absolute worst example of what noodles are in Thailand. I mean, it might be the same in Japan or somewhere else, but as far as I'm concerned, noodles are made with flour. Stick your rice up your arse. They have the rice noodles in China as well, but noodles are made with flour, water, and salt, and you get various degrees of thickness. But basically, I want to hit about the 10-minute mark when I've done the first 5 years. So the first 5 years were in the northeast of China. Well, the entire time was in the northeast. It was a province called Shandong. And I was living in a city called Zibo. But I originally was living in another city called Dongying, which is to the east of Zibo. Dongying is like a nothing city. It's just a very, very Chinese city. But I made some great friends there in 2013. Friends that I'm still in touch with today. That's when you've made a friend, potentially for life. The ones that, because relationships, you can't always keep trying to encourage the other party to communicate with you, to have dialogue with you. And this is very much a case with the Chinese. Now, other people, I just mean like a Chinese friend. I'm not talking about Chinese girlfriends, like ex-girlfriends. Of course, any ex-girlfriend isn't going to be particularly inclined to talk to you. Years down the line, 5, 10, 20, 30 years down the line, unless you genuinely had some sort of friendship and they didn't hold it against you that you weren't together anymore. And I have that. I still have that. I've got some exes that I still speak to, and they are Chinese. I'm not saying we're on the phone every other day. I'm saying we are still able to communicate, because there's no very hard feelings about why relationship didn't work out. So whilst I was in Zibo, I did the usual thing, the training school job. Then I managed to get a job in a regular school. It was a primary school and a middle school, high school. Very enjoyable, I would say, in the main. Pretty easy going back in those days. Back in those days being the emphasis here, when their economy was doing okay. people were generally doing okay. All the families, the not just the rich families. I mean, all the families were doing all right. And I was there for 5 years, and then there was an opportunity to move to another city in Shandong called Jinan. And again, more important people were met, more relationships were formed with other foreigners and with other Chinese. And now we're at 2018. So this is 2018, and I'm working in a high school, and I'm the only foreign teacher in this high school. It's a very small school, so it worked out perfectly for me. I wasn't in competition with other foreigners, because that's the worst kind of competition you're going to get when you work abroad. Is the backstabbing and the gossiping and the cliques that are formed. And in the entire time I was there, Zibo had, I don't know, less than 100 native English speakers. Jinan, maybe double that, maybe more, but really not that many, because when you would meet and befriend people from this small circle of friends, of foreigners, and of course they were coming and going every year, but some of them were staying there, some of them were literally they're in a relationship, and maybe they've got kids by that point, so they're not going anywhere, and their school knows that. And yes, advantages will be taken because they know you're not going anywhere. You're in a relationship with a Chinese woman. I hardly ever met people that were in a relationship with a Chinese man. Chinese have a very different, from a Western viewpoint of what love is. And Chinese love is not the same. I wish it would be nice if it could be, because they are very fond of a lot of Western, media, movies and TV shows and things like that. But when it comes to love in China, I mean, one of my colleagues I work with, she couldn't put it. I couldn't put it better myself. In China, it's like, she said, like, love is what you see in a Korean romance drama or something. It's not real, is it? It's, come on, don't be ridiculous. Like, getting married is about being practical, and not marrying someone you love, and marrying someone that can provide for you and all the rest of it. So that later on in life, they'll support you. You can see the problem here, can't you? This is all, so it's a transaction. It's not about being, boy meets girl, they fall in love and get married. There are other considerations, and the considerations are determined by the families of the girl or the boy. And this is not just foreigner China. This is China, Chinese people and Chinese people. That's really what it is, a transaction, unfortunately. Not for everyone, but for a lot of relationships in China, they get married, and they don't get married particularly for love. It's a form of love. It's a kind of love. And, people get uglier, looks will fade, the sex gets boring. What you need is a companion, and you don't want to worry about finances, because we need you to look after us when we get older. A lot of the families in China, parents of the people that get married, that's what they are thinking about. That's a bit selfish, but that's their system. That's the system of it. Now, I'm going to stop there and call that part one.